Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Steffy refuses to leave Finn as Remy and Luna become closer, but she worries that Sheila's crazy gene has been passed on to her son. On today's episode of Bold and the Beautiful, Sheila talks to Deacon about Poppy, Ridge and Taylor discuss Luna, and Bill questions why Remy is still at his house. Recap of Tuesday's B&B. Steffy was unsure of how she would manage to live with Finn's insane daughter, and he pleaded with her to keep trying. Anyone but Luna, squeals Steffy at the Cliff House. Finn doesn't think anything should separate them, but he can understand her stressing out. His wife is certain that he has experienced mixed feelings. A part of him must be thrilled to have a daughter because he is a loving father. Though he is unsure, he feels a feeling of duty and considers how Luna could have changed had he been in her life. Join soapspoilers.com as a subscriber. Receive soapspoilers.com's most recent post updates and more directly in your inbox. She can somewhat understand this as a parent, but she is concerned that he is defending Luna in the same way as he defended his mother. According to Finn, he isn't. Luna's actions were unacceptable. When his wife notices that he can't help but regard Sheila as his biological mother and Luna as his daughter, she shakes her head. When she learns that Sheila gave Luna her insane genes, she begins to stumble and gasp. There is nothing the doctor can do about it. Nothing, she acknowledges, but he introduced this into her and her son's lives. Steffy, who is worn out, claims that all she wants is a typical, easy life. It was magical when they fell in love. Sheila attempted to murder them after evil appeared at their wedding. He claims he no longer has any sympathy for Sheila, even if he may have been appalled enough to send her away. He is reminded by his wife that he has a daughter with a mental illness and a family. He needs her, because she is both his best friend and partner. She is urged by Finn not to let this break them. Steffy sniffs and realizes that he is not to blame. Although she considered escaping, she plans to honor her promises to him. She assures him they will overcome this as they share a kiss. They will never have to deal with Luna again because she is incarcerated. Luna tells Remy that it's nice to talk to someone other than Bill at Bill's. She genuinely believes she can rely on him. She can, he tells her. She ducks into a corner when they hear Bill approaching. Bill insists on knowing why he remains there. In addition to saying he can correct a lot of other things, Remy says the job simply took longer than he anticipated. After obtaining his contact information, Bill instructs Dino to appear. Remy reiterates that if he wants to hire him again, he will always be available. He must respect his privacy if he ever does, according to Bill. Bill takes off, and Luna emerges from concealment. They discuss how each of them needs friends. He acknowledges that he is also not flawless. She smiles at him, assuming they had more in common than she thought. Sheila informs Deacon that Poppy was by herself at Il Giardino today. Given what her daughter did, he is not shocked to learn that she was out of sorts. As a mother, she can't help but feel bad for Poppy. He notes that Poppy's father is a homicidal nutjob, and her kid is a doctor. Sheila apologizes for bringing up these emotions. She shouldn't feel bad about being nice to Poppy, he says. She is now aware of how much she misses Hayes and Finn as a result of this. It scares him to hear her speak like that. She believes he is going crazy. She is descended from them. Reminding her that things have been going well for them lately and that he doesn't want her to experience a setback, he takes her hand. Sheila will always desire a relationship with her son and grandson, whom she thinks of constantly. He gives her a hug. Ridge and Taylor talk about how Luna is a sick young lady at Eric's. After locking his daughter in a cage, he draws attention to the irony that Luna is now in one. The silver lining is that Steffy will always have Finn as her savior. They chat about his saving her heart and erecting a stronghold around their family while he massages her back. It's good that Steffy can trust Finn. Ridge is simply glad that he is not connected to Luna via blood. He claims it is useless to consider this. She concurs and doesn't think anything can stop Finn and Steffy. Deacon advises Sheila to stay in her lane while Steffy makes decisions about the future of her marriage. Ridge and Taylor are discussing the only topic on anyone's mind while engaging in a little canoodling on today's episode of All About Luna. The therapist fears that Steffy will be scarred for years as a result of what Luna did to her. Naturally, there is a lot of discussion regarding how Luna's status as Finn's cousin will affect the dynamics within the family. Regarding Finn and Luna, Ridge essentially remarks, "Good thing they're not blood-related." He continues by calling the young lady Finn's crazy cousin, a term I'm willing to wager we'll hear a lot of in the days ahead. Steffy's worst nightmare comes true. We follow Steffy across town as she continues to struggle with the realization that her husband's daughter attempted to kill her. She claims that the situation's reality is sinking in, particularly with regard to Finn and their marriage. According to Steffy, who knows him as well as she does, Finn must be thrilled about having a daughter on some level. When Luna was growing up, Finn wishes he could have been there. Steffy acknowledges, "You're beginning to frighten me," as he talks about Luna in the same manner that he did Sheila when he discovered she was his mother. Commit murder. You can say it, buddy. Steffy wants to know why they're being challenged again, and then she makes the connection and discovers that Luna is Sheila's grandchild. Finn despises what Luna did. She scares out that Hayes has inherited the horrible, warped DNA. Steffy claims there is nothing he can do, possibly acknowledging the unavoidable. "You introduced this to my son, my family, and my life. I just want to be happy and live a normal, simple life," Steffy laments as she calms down and envisions a very different future. However, given his rotten family line from the ground up, it isn't happening. Steffy softens and admits that her first impulse was to flee, but she also realizes that her beloved is not to blame for this. They promise to get through this together, share affectionate words, and kiss. A lighter Steffy, who definitely shouldn't read the following paragraph of this recap, states, "The difference between Luna and Sheila is that Luna is in prison, and we're never going to have to deal with her again." Luna befriends someone. Remy vows to remain silent about Luna's presence in the estate. She quickly leaves when Bill gets home, prompting Remy to essentially request that Bill give him more work going forward. According to the tycoon, he might, but only if his privacy is given top priority. After Bill leaves, Luna strolls out once more to speak with Remy. The handyman offers to be her buddy even though he is aware of her identity and past actions. And this specific pairing can't possibly go wrong, can it? Subscribe to Soap's bold and beautiful newsletter, the text says. Subscribe to receive daily recaps, spoilers, exclusive interviews, and breaking news alerts delivered directly to your inbox. https://cloud.email.soaps.com/signup. Sheila affrights the Deacon. As Sheila confides in Deacon that she feels terrible for Poppy, patrons at Il Giardino take a back seat. Given that her daughter murdered two of his co-workers, friends, Deacon isn't. Sheila is aware of Poppy's suffering over her daughter. He notes that the distinction is that your child is an honorable doctor, hers is a nut job. He's actually happy that she's in jail. Naturally, Sheila confesses that she misses Finn and his family after all this family chat. Her tone becomes more heated even though she maintains that she is not obsessive. Sheila makes it apparent that Finn and his family will always be on her mind and that she would never, ever stop searching for a way to connect with them, but Deacon worries that spending time with Poppy and connecting over their mischievous kids can't be beneficial for Sheila. In the midst of the chaos at Forrester Creations, Deacon's warning was a chilling premonition that the road of ambition and treachery is frequently paved with unintended consequences. As the tenuous alliances within the Forrester dynasty started to fall apart, the warning would soon prove to be all too true. Deacon's calm but firm voice reverberated through the hallways on that fateful day, as ominous clouds gathered over the shining towers of the Forrester estate and a tense silence descended upon the boardroom, warning everyone that the choices they were about to make could have far more consequences than any of them had imagined. His words were intended to be a final appeal for moderation and introspection, and they were delivered with a solemnity that could only result from years of seeing the deadly force of unbridled ambition. However, as fate would have it, Sheila was seduced by the same opportunities that Deacon's warning was meant to prevent, even as his warning hung over the proceedings like a phantom. Sheila, whose ambition had always been as unrestrained as it was brutal, saw in the impending chaos not a sign of impending doom but a fantastic opportunity to take charge and establish her own brand of authority, one that would upend the status quo and put her at the forefront of a new chapter in the Forrester family's history. Every whispered rumor and every private talk further fueled Sheila's desire to take advantage of the situation and use the shifting loyalties to her advantage as the boardroom hummed with tension and hushed conversations. She started laying the foundation for a bold coup with a sparkle in her eye and a resolve derived from years of negotiating the perilous waters of corporate politics. This would involve her surreptitiously forming alliances, negotiating backdoor deals, and sowing discord among those she deemed to be in her way. Steffy and Finn, longtime mainstays of the Forrester front, were enmeshed in the whirlpool of their own collapsing world in that heated atmosphere, which was heavy with the promise of rebirth and the threat of impending collapse. The couple whose relationship had once been the cornerstone of stability at Forrester Creations had ultimately suffered from the unrelenting pressure of past betrayals and growing personal failings, which had been exacerbated by the profound changes in the company's power dynamics. Steffy had always been the epitome of emotional fortitude and unwavering resolve, but suddenly she felt the weight of unending disappointments and dashed hopes bearing down on her like an unstoppable force. The foundation of trust between her and Finn had been eroded by each unsuccessful bargain, each whispered secret of infidelity and deception, and their once unbreakable link was now in ruins. The repercussions of Finn's own mistakes, a string of choices motivated by the desire to preserve his legacy that had instead distanced him from the person he loved most, were now plaguing him. Finn's charm and ambition had carried him through decades of brutal corporate maneuvering. The couple's meticulously crafted facade of strength and unity started to fall apart under the constant pressure of reality as the rifts in their relationship deepened. Each word exchanged was a painful reminder of broken promises and betrayed trust. In one particularly terrifying moment, a heated argument broke out in a dimly lit corner of the mansion, and Finn's normally steady and confident voice wavered with the raw edge of despair, while Steffy's eyes filled with a torrent of unspoken grief. The complete degree of their breakdown was revealed during that vulnerable moment. The love that had bound them together was now in ashes, carried away by the unstoppable forces of ambition, time, and treachery. Deacon's earlier warning, however, continued to loom large in the background like a ghost, a persistent, eerie reminder that ambition and power can come at the cost of crushed hopes and broken hearts. The boardroom, which had previously been the center of strategic genius and well-considered decision-making, had become a battlefield of emotions, where every choice was tinged with regret and every partnership was at risk of further breakdown. The once powerful pillars of the Forrester legacy crumbled, and Sheila, emboldened by her own covert schemes, watched with a mixture of satisfaction and icy calculation. Her eyes glowed with the hope of a new order, one in which she would become the undisputed arbiter of power, her every action carefully planned to take advantage of the chaos that now ruled supreme. Deacon's warning had been a little setback in her meticulously planned ascension, a footnote in the broad scheme of her goal, but her temptation had proven too strong to resist. There was no question about the permanent change taking place as the day went on, and the emotions reached a fever pitch as a series of revelations and confrontations occurred throughout the expansive hallways of Forrester Creations. As he struggled with the knowledge that every secret he had so vehemently guarded and every lie he had told in an effort to preserve his legacy had eventually contributed to the dissolution of the one relationship that had previously defined his existence, Finn's last, agonized cries reverberated through the deserted hallways. The fiery determination in Steffy's eyes had been replaced by a sorrow so deep that it appeared to darken the mansion's light, and her previously unshakable resolution was now broken. The interaction of ambition, treachery, and the unrelenting quest for power came together in a moment of profound reckoning amid this chaos, as allies became enemies and the very roots of trust were exposed. Deacon's warning, reverberating like a dirge over the ruins of the Forrester dynasty, emphasized the certainty of punishment, a harsh, uncompromising reality from which no one, not even the strongest of them, could escape. With a determined smile and a brutal determination that allowed no space for sentimentality, Sheila navigated through the pandemonium, determined to take control and alter the future to her own will. she was determined to claim what she felt was properly hers. And as the last vestiges of the old order fell apart, the broken bodies of Steffy and Finn served as living examples of the terrible price of ambition, a price expressed not in money or influence but rather in the broken fragments of hope, trust, and love that now strewn the once immaculate corridors of Forrester Creations. Every whispered secret, every tear, and every last, agonized cry in that furnace of hopelessness and change served as a reminder that in the brutal world of bold and the beautiful, the quest for power is a two-edged sword that can bring even the most driven people to the heights of achievement but also expose them to the relentless forces of fate and the painful inevitability of loss. The echoes of Deacon's warning, the temptation that had inspired Sheila to take advantage of the situation, and the disintegration of Steffy and Finn's once unwavering union came together to create a single, eerie scene as night fell over the estate and the storm outside raged with a ferocity that mirrored the chaos within. This scene would forever redefine the Forrester family's legacy, signaling the end of an era and the uncertain dawn of a future in which every decision is weighed against the incalculable cost of betrayal and the unwavering pursuit of redemption. The unimaginable form of Luna, a woman whose very presence served as a constant reminder of betrayal, secrets, and the sinister undercurrents that had always threatened to topple the delicate balance of power within the Forrester empire, was the manifestation of Steffy's worst nightmare, which had been simmering in the background for years. It seemed as though all of the half-truths and whispered rumors that had plagued Steffy's life had now come together to form a devastating revelation that tore apart the facade of control she had so meticulously upheld. Steffy was confronted by the personification of her worst fears in the lavish hallways of Forrester Creations, where every step reverberated with the legacy of generations and every conversation was tinged with ulterior motives. Luna, not only a former ally whose loyalty had once seemed unquestionable but now a woman who had been transformed into the harbinger of ruin and regret. In contrast to the kind, tenacious person Steffy had known in the past, Luna's transition had been slow but unstoppable, driven by a number of decisions that sent her down a path of deceit, manipulation, and merciless ambition. Being forced to face the painful reality that sometimes the people you trust the most can end up being the source of your greatest suffering was a bitter pill to swallow when Steffy realized that Luna had become the mastermind behind her own demise. Steffy's mind was racing with recollections of fights fought and promises broken, each memory a sharp shard of glass that pierced her soul as the harsh light of truth shone down on every shadowy corner of her history. Steffy's eyes met Luna's, and in those eyes were the echoes of every betrayal, every whispered lie, and every secret that had been carefully buried beneath layers of ambition and survival. The air in the Cliff House's grand hall, which was normally filled with the subdued elegance of a bygone era, now vibrated with an almost palpable tension. In sharp contrast to the warm, resilient attitude that Steffy had worked so hard to uphold, Luna stood as a living example of the cost of unbridled ambition, her eyes showing no sorrow and her cold, calculated face. Every small gesture Luna made and every calculated phrase she spoke with a distant superiority twisted the heart of a woman who had long thought devotion and truth would win out. The walls of the Cliff House seemed to be closing in on Steffy as her worst nightmare played out, the foundation of her world collapsing beneath the weight of the betrayal that now stood exposed and unavoidable before her. As they silently witnessed the tumult of her emotions, a clamor of rage, grief, and a searing sense of loss that left her reeling, the elaborate furniture, which had once stood for stability and ancestral grandeur, appeared to mock her. With its wild winds and unrelenting rain, the storm outside turned into a mirror of her inner torment, a tempest that appeared to reverberate every agonized cry and every tear that threatened to burst into a flood of sorrow. As if the universe had come together to make her face the indescribable reality that Luna, the woman she had once regarded as a confidant and possibly even a surrogate daughter, had turned out to be the sign of her demise. Every detail, the flickering lights, the creak of the ancient wooden floors, the distant thunder, merged into a single experience of overwhelming grief and betrayal in that moment. The knowledge that everything Steffy had worked so hard to create, her relationships, her goals, her carefully manicured facade of strength, was now being attacked by a power she had never seen coming, a force that bore the face of Luna, made her heart race. Every reassuring illusion was taken away during this existential crisis, revealing the harsh, unforgiving fact that the distinction between friend and enemy had become hopelessly hazy. Steffi understood that this encounter was not only the end but also the beginning, a turning point that compelled her to reevaluate what it meant to be strong, resilient, and to trust again in a world where betrayal had become a commonplace occurrence. In the silence that followed the initial shock, as the rage in her chest changed into a simmering, burning determination. With every recollection of her past transgressions and betrayal moments reverberating in her mind, the weight of Luna's deceit weighed down on her like an avalanche of regret, making it difficult for her to overcome her feelings of hopelessness and regain the authority that had once characterized her. A part of her, the part that had persevered through every hardship with unwavering determination, screamed that the germ of change was hidden inside this suffering, even as she fought to keep her balance against the crushing power of her darkest nightmare. The chance to rebuild, learn, and come out stronger from the ruins of what was previously a safe and impregnable identity is also present in the raw exposure of betrayal. The echoes of that terrifying encounter echoed through the quiet hallways of the Cliff House as the hours passed and the storm outside started to lessen. It served as a chilling reminder that the truth, no matter how painful, was the only way to ultimate salvation. Steffi stood on the edge of a new world, where each tear and agonized scream was a step toward removing the old skin of sorrow and entering a future characterized by the bravery to overcome betrayal rather than the weight of it. In that solitude, amid the fading grandeur and the ruins of broken illusions, she made a vow to turn her greatest suffering into the impetus for a fresh start, a determination to rebuild her world on the basis of hard-won knowledge and an unwavering faith in the strength of truth, no matter how bitter it may be. The Cliff House, which had witnessed her most desperate moments, thus stood as a silent testament to Steffi's ability to persevere, to fight, and ultimately to rewrite her destiny in a world where every betrayal and broken promise was both a wound and a catalyst for profound personal growth as the night gave way to the tentative light of dawn. In that long, agonizing night, Steffi's worst nightmare had shown her the depths of her own vulnerability as well as the unbreakable spark of resilience that, in spite of everything, promised that the human spirit could find a way to heal and rebuild a life that was truly and irrevocably her own, even in the face of the most devastating deception.